Welcome to the 5 Minutes to Better Home Services Marketing podcast with your host, John Torrey. So for the last 2 years, Searchlight has been publishing a weekly newsletter, which is completely free at thedatadriventrades.substack.com with industry trends for contractors, really focusing on different marketing channels like Google Ads, Bing, local services, Facebook, organic, and how much revenue those channels are generating, how much it costs to acquire a paying customer, how those KPIs are trending, and what that means for your business. Over those 2 years, we've had over 70,000 readers. We're growing rapidly. Thousands of you read this newsletter every single month. And about 2 years ago, I had introduced this podcast, but stopped to build out the newsletter. But now I'm back, and every single week, I am going to narrate and share some of the highlights and insights, not only from the newsletter, but just things that we're seeing in general. So make sure to head to thedatadriventrades.substack.com to subscribe both to the newsletter, but also to get access to these podcasts. And I share a lot of content on LinkedIn. Again, data that we think would be useful for your business. So let's start off. This week, we're going to be talking about June 2024 PPC performance. I realize that we're close to the end of July. We're going to publish those numbers throughout the month of August. So again, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. But I want to talk you through the trends that we are seeing from pay-per-click. So this is going to be Google Ads and Bing. So before we dive into June, I just want to give a refresher from May. And this data is all year-over-year data. So conversion volume from May 2023 to May 2024 went up by 50%. Paying customers were up by 37%. Customer acquisition costs did increase slightly by 2%, but total revenue opportunity, which is the sum of unsold estimates, sold revenue, and closed revenue, was up a whopping 47% year over year. Closed revenue up 38% year over year, and 21% of total revenue opportunity did not convert via phone calls. So keep in mind that there is more spend, but with that spend, we've seen an increase in performance. So in May 2023 to 2024, spend went up 31%, but closed revenue increased 38%. So you got more bang for your buck there. But diving into June, we also saw that conversion volume increase by 5% month over month and 16% year over year. This is really, really great to see because in Q1 of 2024, we saw a lot of downturn, not a lot of demand. And based on AHRI data, I really was thinking that we are in this 15-year cycle where we're looking at the Great Recession numbers and we're mirroring that. But this summer has really shown more demand than last year. Now, the summer's not over yet. We've had some different timing of heat waves in different markets. And again, this is data based on a sample, so it might be different for your business, but we're just trying to give you some benchmarks and general trends. So the paying customer rate is something I want to talk about because leads are a part of the story, but how well they convert into bookings, into sold revenue, and ultimately closed revenue is what you care about because that affects your bottom line. So our paying customer rate on the Searchlight platform is the percentage of active customers that you are working in a given month who convert to sold or closed jobs. That was up both month over month and year over year. So not only did lead volume go up, but a higher percentage of those customers converted into sold or closed jobs. That's why it's so critical that you monitor your booking rate, your match rate. Match rate is the percentage of active customers who match effectively to a run job. They've got revenue associated with it. But that's really critical because lead volume can go up through the roof, but if those leads aren't converting, it's not doing anything for your business. And in this Substack, I actually highlighted a conversation between Kate Donovan, the CEO of Camp Digital, and Victor Rancor on his podcast. They talked about this. They talked about how so far this summer, there have been businesses that want to give Kate more money to spend on marketing, but they have operational issues, and that would just end up being a wasted spend. If your leads are up, but they're not converting and you're spending more, that just ultimately becomes spend that doesn't turn into anything. So I did link that clip of that podcast in the Substack, so I highly recommend you check that out. But paying customers from PPC increased 9% month over month. 22% year over year. I care more personally about paying customers than I do leads, but I recognize you need leads and opportunities in order to get the paying customers. But if we think about this for a second, I did some math here. So average tickets from PPC, they were just under $3,000. That 9% growth of paying customers month over month equated to $450,000 in additional revenue just for June. If you are able to convert just 9% more of your active customers, those unique leads and those booked appointments for your selected time frame, that could turn into significant revenue. So again, in this sample, we're looking at $450,000 in additional revenue. Now, a lot of businesses there, so obviously that number is a little bit higher, but you can take that to your business. Just getting 1% better every single month can really make a difference. So now let's get into customer acquisition costs. So how much did it cost to acquire a paying customer, sold or closed job from PPC in June? So that cost decreased 7% month over month, and it decreased 3% year over year. It came in at just under $300. So you're spending a little less than $300 to get an average ticket of $3,000. That's really good economics. You could probably even push that customer acquisition cost higher in hopes that it could generate more volume. But again, these numbers are decreasing. June tends to be the least expensive month to acquire a paying customer on most digital channels, organic, PPC, but really PPC. The last 3 years that Searchlight has been tracking this data with our analytics platform, June has historically been the least expensive month. The last 3 years, and again, here we are. One thing I want to mention, I'm going to talk about this a lot and probably repeat myself on this. Customer acquisition cost is not just a function of the price that Google charges for clicks. It is also a function of how well those clicks convert to leads, leads convert to booked appointments convert to run jobs close and convert to sold and closed revenue. In a lot of markets, CPCs have increased, but the customer acquisition cost has decreased because of how well those leads convert to sold or closed revenue. Now, the customers, the clients, the businesses in this sample, they've been using Searchlight for a long time, so they've been tracking these metrics and optimizing those metrics. So yes, this is more of a data-oriented sample that's been focused on this, so they're probably performing well above average in those cases, but you have more control than you think. I see a lot of narrative around how expensive Google is, PPC. There's businesses out there that do without it, and they have such a strong brand, they function really well, but the average contractor really is looking to Google as a lead generation tool, and I'm a big believer that the business is won at the search engine level. My AC went out 2 weeks ago during a heat wave in North Carolina, and I couldn't think about anything else when it's 105 degrees with a heat index, and I'm worried about my cat, and I'm worried about being able to sleep at night, not being able to get my exercise in, not being able to, I work from home. I go right to the search engine to find this. I'm not thinking clearly in those moments. So again, you can use metrics like customer acquisition cost, average ticket, sold and closed revenue volume, close ROAS. ROAS is return on ad spend, book rate, match rate, and paying customer rate to find your balance of pushing spend to the max that your business can afford and properly manage inbound lead flow without experiencing diminishing returns. So yes, we like customer acquisition costs to go down, but if there's more volume to be had, I don't mind recommending to my clients at least spend a little bit more, because if we're going to spend an extra $100 to acquire a paying customer, now you're paying $400, but you can properly manage those inbound leads and you're getting an average ticket of about $3,000, we might be able to increase your volume by 20-25%, which can result in big numbers and over time really impact your bottom line. So total revenue opportunity from PPC actually decreased 11% month over month, but it was up 19% year over year. So at a first glance, this is a little bit disappointing because from April to May, total revenue opportunity increased 12%. And just to revisit what that is, total revenue opportunity sums up every dollar that your team had the chance to close. So you got into the home and you either gave the customer an estimate, you sold them a job, or you closed and completed the job. So these are all of the dollars that PPC gave you the opportunity to earn in this particular time frame. So what we noticed, despite the fact that PPC revenue opportunities were down. So for example, in May, you had $1 million of opportunity. In June, that's about $900,000. That's not the actual numbers, it's just the ratio. 60% of that revenue opportunity estimates sold closed ended up in the sold and closed buckets. Not a lot got stuck in unsold estimates. Whereas last month, that was only about 50%. So the businesses in this sample had less revenue opportunity to work with, but they closed it at a higher percentage, which ultimately impacts the closed revenue, which was up 10% month over month. And it was also up 18% year over year. So for every $1 spent on PPC in June, it brought in about $10 in return, which is a 10x return on ad spend. That's top of the top. Our baseline for ROAS is about 4.5x. If you're about 25% EBITDA business, you've got to get at least a 4x on your spend, and you want a little bit of room for profitability. The above average contractors are getting about a 6x, and then the top of the top are 8 to 10x, and anything above that, you're doing really, really well. But this is really important. I'm just going to say this one more time. The total revenue opportunity in June decreased 11%, but the closed revenue increased 10%. And these are both month over month. And again, because a higher percentage of that revenue opportunity converted to sold or closed revenue. So not a lot of it got stuck in unsold estimates. That's a really important metric to track, because when you track it, you do something about it. The last point I'll make here is that 36% of PPC revenue opportunity did not convert via phone calls in June of 2024. Last month, that was 21%. So what this is telling me, and it's been a little bit up and down, but the general trend is up and to the right, is that more customers are converting via forms, chats, and online scheduling. Now, I think for a long, long time, phone calls are going to be the majority of your revenue opportunity. If there's a conversion tool to focus on improving, it's going to be phone calls. But when you're talking more than 1/3 of your revenue opportunity is converting via form, chat, and online scheduling, you want to make sure those tools are working, that you're responding, that you have team members assigned to monitor form leads, monitor chat leads, make sure that your online scheduling has appropriate availability. I can't tell you how many times we see revenue go down through our platform. We look at the online scheduling tools, we see the match rates are down 25%. What's going on? Oh, that's because you don't have any appointment availability for the next 3 weeks on your online scheduling. And it's not a function of capacity. It's just set up improperly. So that's why it's important to monitor this data. We ran a lot over the 5 minutes today. So these podcasts, they're meant to be bite-sized. They're going to be 5, 15, 20 minutes long, but we want to keep them short because we know how busy you are. But make sure to subscribe, again, to the newsletter. You'll get both the written content and the audio content. I share a lot of this on LinkedIn. And I also want to let people know, too, I am one of the co-founders of Searchlight, but I work very closely with many, many clients. It keeps my skills sharp. It keeps me in the data. It helps me know what's relevant to our customers. But I do consulting. I work with clients specifically using our data platform to then take that data and turn it into action, and action that produces the desired outcomes. I did have 2 slots open up. I don't think it will last long, but send me an email, John, Jon, at searchlightdigital.io if you are interested in learning more about what consulting looks like. I look forward to seeing you all next week.